Far from being discouraged, the Jacobin Journal continued to express itself with so much audacity that it appeared as if certain of a near triumph. The Directory, said they, have raised the mask and ostensibly sanctioned the massacre of the Republicans. The horrible discourse of its president upon the 10th of August is an inconceivable augmentation of the counter-revolutionary audacity compared with its preceding discourse. The Directory dares to affirm that we have violated the Constitution. It has lied. It is an odious calumniator. The violence of this newspaper was less dangerous than the maneuvers employed at the same time in all parts of the Republic. In the clubs of the departments, they propagated the most infamous calumnies against the three directors who formed the majority. Commissions sent from Paris hawked about accusatory addresses, and by their means the affiliation of many of the clubs with that of Paris was already assured. The Club of Grenoble offered the scandal of a panegyric upon Robespierre, pronounced at the Tribune the reestablishment of the regime of '93 was highly extolled, and a new convention was demanded as the sole means of salvation. At the door, even of the legislative body, placards were posted up to excite agitation and insurrection. It was no longer time to hesitate. The Commission of Inspectors of the Council of Ancients, in rendering an account of those placards, proposed to send them to the Directory and to demand why they did not cause the articles of the Constitution to be executed, which forbade all collective acts to the societies. The Directory replied to this cry of alarm by calling upon the Minister of the Police, and that minister did not hesitate to accuse the excesses of the clubs and to demand repressive measures. His report was sent back to us by the ancients and excited among us a very violent discussion that was without any result, but in which they succeeded to have it passed to the order of the day upon the impression of the report. The Directory, however, still pursued the accomplishment of its duty. It ordained the Society of the Jacobins to be closed and informed us of that great measure by a message in which the firm tone and evident reasons reduced for a moment its adversaries to silence. We ordain that the project of law upon the organization and the limits of the political societies should be immediately submitted to discussion. A second message upon the troubles of the South was read in a secret committee, and we accorded to the Directory for a month the right of making domiciliary visits. That extraordinary authority given to those who had just put an end to the Jacobins appeared to indicate that the two councils felt the necessity of not weakening the government. Yet, notwithstanding in the same sitting, they obtained from us a measure that was entirely contrary: the formation of a commission of 7 members to present measures of public welfare. The closing of the Jacobins and the troubles in the South, purposely exaggerated, operated differently upon people's minds, tormented with inquietude, attacked by several excellent orators, and filled with the contagious conviction, like Anxious Severio, Biot, and Lamarck. We could no longer prevent the formation of that commission, which we had repulsed several times, because it divided the public authority at the precise moment when it ought to have been concentrated in a single point. But such are too often the consequences of a numerous assembly, moved by a crisis unexpected by some and skillfully prepared by others. In vain, several deputies represented that a committee for measures of public welfare was a revolutionary authority, and that we had an executive power whom we had just invested with the right of domiciliary visits, that there were no new measures to decree, but that it was necessary to execute those that were already taken, and that in acting thus we overturned with one hand what the other had raised. All was in vain. They replied by showing the letters which they had received from the South and the West, and he cried, "They murdered the Republicans, the white flag, the Royalists lend the hand to Suvorov." All that we could obtain was to repulse the permanence which was also proposed in that stormy sitting, and to cause the commission of 7 to be named not by the president according to custom, but by a secret scrutiny. That form of election was extremely important because President Chauveau, who belonged to the exalted party, had probably formed a committee of persons who thought like him. The scrutiny was exaggerated during the sitting, and I was proclaimed member of the Commission of 7, as well as Chenier, Danu, Lamarck, Echesserier, Berlier, and Boulay de la Murta. The friends of the government had thus the majority,